What is going on, everybody? So today is another fun one. We're not going to do an IEM today. We're going to do what we've been doing more of recently, which is a DAC amp. Now, this has been a crazy one because it came out in the fall. It's a beautiful R2R DAC amp that people have been just going crazy over. And crazy over because literally since its inception or when it came out, it has been sold out. Like literally you cannot get one. And one of the reasons being is the owner who designed it and everything listens to every single one before they go out for quality assurances, which is actually really kind of cool. In fact, there's a story where there was a local show to him and he did not go to that show because he was in the factory listening to every single one for the next batch. And it's almost impossible to get. And we're talking about, I think we're on our fourth or fifth batch. I think one came in January, and then another one's coming in this month, I believe. So I think it's like the fourth or fifth batch. And again, they're very hard to come by. If you get lucky, someone will sell one, but that's been pretty slim pickings. So luckily, we have a friend of the channel that lives close by named Blind Ranger. You can see him on our Discord. Oh, make sure you check out our Discord because we get a lot of fun things going on there. Besides music, IMs, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so Blind Ranger was kind enough to allow me to borrow this so I can do a review on it. And of course, it's something that you can pick up at Music Tech, which is cool. And I think they should be getting in another shipment this month or maybe early next month. I don't know, but these things are hard to come by. So I'm hoping I'm not slaughtering the name, but I know the last name is right. So we are going to be reviewing today the Quloos MUB5 R2R DAC amp. Right, so the Quloos MUB5 R2R portable DAC and headphone amplifier. It retails for $1,300. It's got 19 plus 5 segmented R2R DAC architecture, precisely matched resistor array with 0.01% tolerance, custom oversampling and non-oversampling, so you've got OS and NOS, discrete headphone amplifier section with FCT power transistors, OPA 627 buffer stage, and up to 2.5 watts per channel output. You also have versatile functionality with the multiple input options being coaxial, optical, Bluetooth, and USB Type-C. You've got 3.5 millimeter and 4.4 millimeter headphone outputs. You've got a line out function support. You have 120 level precise volume adjustments. There's a touch sensitive display panel, physical volume knob, and you've got a professionally designed shielded power supply with up to 8 hours of battery backup. You have QC fast charging support, and you have DC in with battery bypass technology. All right, so let's take a closer look at the Quloos. You have your 3.5 and 4.4 here, inputs. You've got your volume knob here. You've got your hold, or your lock, so you can press the buttons without them changing. Got your power here, got your play, forward and reverse there. And then when you look at the bottom, you've got your coaxial, you've got your optical and line in here. You've got your audio, so your USB-C in. You've got your USB-C charge in, and then you've got your DC 12 volt right here, so you can bypass the battery and have even more power come out. And then of course, here's the touchscreen here. All right, so let's check out how fast it powers up. Don't have the timer because it actually powers up pretty quickly, as you can see. The cool thing is you've got all your information here. You can see me change the volume. Very simple. Tells you what the input is. We've got USB on. You've got your different, so M2 for the different sounds that it can make. And I'll get into that more in depth later. And it's unlocked. So if you swipe, you can see even more options you have. So right there is USB, Bluetooth, coaxial, optical. So you can change your inputs here. I've got a high gain now. There's normal gain, low gain, and then we've got, whoops, swiped it too much. Just DC charge on or off, you can control that. You go here, and let's flip it again, sorry, swipe. And you've got your outputs here, which is cool, and it'll give you a warning to make sure that you don't have like a headphone in, and you switch it from PO to low. Then you've got your lock where you can change it. You've got your sound mode here, M1, M2. Swipe it over again. You've got your LCD, how bright you want it to be. As you can see, that lowered it. You've got your delay on your LCD when it turns off, how long it stays on. You've got your auto off function that you can control. You also have your fine tuning, so if you're left or right earbud, you need to adjust those. You can adjust it there. You've got also your battery controller here, more about the MUB5. You've got your Bluetooth pairing. You've got your volume increment, and then you can have your line out and line out on or off. So yeah, it's got a pretty intuitive and easy, press the home there and you're back to the original screen, system to use. All right, so to get more in depth on the M1 and M2 mode, so let's break it down like this. So the M1 filter is the NOS, non-oversampling filter, and it's going to be more mid-centric. It's going to give you a smoother sound, and you'll have less emphasis on the treble and the bass, so more in tune with how the music should sound. Where the M2 filter is going to have a broader bandwidth, described as more dynamic or even preferred for electronic music. So it's going to give you just more emphasis on treble and bass and just more lively music. So it's always good to toggle between the two. Some people hear a difference, other people don't. But it's always good to have options in tuning your sound, and that's what M1 and M2 give you. All right, as always, I always go over the IEMs that I use to listen to the MUB5. So I've got the Alpha Omega Fulgrim. I have the, long name here we go. So we have the Effect Audio X, Fat Freak, Grand Maestro Anniversary Founders Edition. We've got the Subtonic Storm, and we also have the Flip Ears Arion. And I use these as well as I use Bluetooth, and I also use the USB cable to my PC and also to my phone. So these are the things that I use to test out and find out what kind of sound that the MUB5 was making. So I always like being very transparent on what testing equipment I use when testing something out. All right, so let's talk about battery life. Battery life was very, very good. I got I would say 9 to 10 hours between charge. It's got quick charging capabilities, which is always nice. So I was able to get it back up pretty quickly. So yeah, when it comes to just listening and jamming to your music, and for me, I had to use it. I tested with a lot of really hard to drive IEMs. So definitely with Storm, and had the Founders Edition of the Grand Maestro Anniversary. And what else did I use? Oh, of course, Fulgrim. And so I was on high gain. You can also, it has battery bypass, which is awesome when you're using it in 12 volt. So you plug the 12 volt in, it'll bypass the battery, it'll charge it to where it needs to be, and then you don't have to worry. So you can totally use it as a desktop alternative, which is great. And you also get more power when you do with the 12 volt. So that's also very nice and convenient, because it means essentially that this DAC amp can last for quite a long time. You don't have to worry about having to switch out the battery or anything, because if you leave it plugged in, it becomes a moot point. So that's awesome. That's an awesome feature that I hope more DAPs and DAC amps use in the future, so we can keep them longer without having to worry about replacing those batteries. All right, so let's talk about the most important thing, sound. So it's one of those things where I think, I've heard a lot of DAPs, a lot of DAC amps, and I feel like once you get to a certain level, it is more about what kind of sound you like, as opposed to, is this 1,000 times better, 100 times better, 5%, 10%, because in all actuality, lots of time it just comes down to your own signature, what you really like, right? So in comparison with something like Silver, my 10th anniversary Silver, at its price, it should be more resolving. It should have more dynamics. It should have darker background. It should have more depth and things like that. But I feel like when you get to the level of an MUB5, you're pretty much there. The rest of it is just a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that, and it's a fine-tuning aspect of it. So to me, it's a slightly V-shaped DAC amp where the bass and the treble is a little bit more prominent than the mids, but it doesn't mean that they're recessed. No, they're not at all. The bass is very, very good. Like some of the bass that I've heard from a DAC amp, that I've heard from a DAP, that I've heard from a source. Like it's got the dynamics, the texture, mid bass, sub bass, whatever you're into. If you're into bass, it just sounds extraordinary. So this was tested off of, you know, some bass monsters. Fulgrim, Founders Edition, Grand Maestro, things like just Billie Eilish when you want Bury a Friend, or you're using Bad Guys as a test track, or when you have Polyphia and just that deep bass hit. And it also works well, let's say you have an IM that you would like a little bit more bass for. This will give you that weight that you're looking for in the bass. Now, if you are someone that is bass adverse or just not really into bass, this might not be the source for you, because it does, I feel like, turn it up just a little bit. But it is awesome when it does so. The mids to me were very nice with separation, things like that. You've got space between. There's some good depth there. I feel like if you pay more, some of the DAPs do more depth. But this depth is very nice on this DAC amp. Voices sound very nice. You've got the analog kind of warmer sound, a little lushness there to the R2R sound. Not so much as some R2R. I think this one is more kind of like a neutral one where you're not getting a lot of that note weight in the mids, and you're not getting all the analog warmthness that a lot of R2Rs have. This is more on the neutral side. So for some, it could be more revealing. For others, it might be not that natural R2R sound, which is fine, because not all R2Rs sound the same, kind of like not all Delta Sigma amps sound the same. It's just the way it is. So you're going to get a more neutral sound to it, but voices, instruments, timbre is good with them. You've got great separation. The width is good. The depth is good, I would say. So it does that very, very well. If I was going to compare it to something like the 340, there's more life to the sound, as opposed to the 340 is a lot more neutral to me. And sometimes I felt like the bass was a little, wish I had more. That's been rectified with the new amps on it, so that's good. But I feel like the mids on this are a little bit more lively than the 340. When it comes to treble, again, I said this is a slightly V, so I feel like treble's a little bit accentuated. I had a few IMs that I tried that don't bother me on other more neutral amps and DACs and DAPs. So with this one, it kind of tickled a little bit with my treble sensitivity, but not in a way where it was just too much, but maybe just a little bit borderline there, and some things might have been too hot, but it's got good extension. I liked how there was texture there. It's really nice treble with it. Things like cymbals, Manu Katsu, going to Polyphia, things like that. I felt that it sounded really, really good. So when it comes just like to total sound, I think it's a very, very good, and at its price, where it competes at, I think it's like one of the best that's there. Because like if you think of, I've got the M8T, I need to do that review soon. I think it competes exceptionally well with the M8T. I think it's a little bit better than the 340, and it kind of scoots its way into maybe that 2K platform. But when you start comparing it to the SP4Ks, the RSA2s, then you go to the L Luxury and Precision, so we've got the silver, the gold, things like that. And those top tier DAPs, I think they still are a little bit further ahead, including refinement and things like that, more revealing, better dynamics. But man, at this price point of where it's at, it's getting kind of close, and it's good to see a product like that. One of the qualms that I have from it, and it's just not a negative towards it, but it's just I listen to a lot of my music, I own it, so I'm not a streamer. And I think what's brilliant about this is if you're a streamer, you use things like, Tidal, Kelbuzz, things like that, and you're big into streaming, then with the Bluetooth that is so very, very good on this, I need to point that out, that the Bluetooth implementation on this thing is very, very good. One of the best sounding Bluetooths I've heard. Then it makes it quite easier if you're a big streamer to connect your phone, connect your computer. Hell, if you use Rune, have it Rune on your computer, output to that, and it's great for that. But I own a lot of my music. It would be really cool if there was an SD card slot in there that you could just pop your SD card in and play it directly from the MUB5. It doesn't have that, and again, that's why DAPs are out there and other things like that. So it'd be cool, or even if I could put like a USB external hard drive and control it through that, that would be kind of cool. That would be only like my only, knock versus the MUB5. I think it is a very, very darn good DAC amp that I can understand why, especially with its R2R sound that's maybe not too heavy, maybe on the lighter side, but so good, especially with that texture in that bass. You've got that sparkly treble, and the mids aren't recessed enough. It's just kind of like a slight little V where they're lively and they're good. I can see why this thing has been selling out and has had such a great, word of mouth type of thing, because for its price, you're getting a lot more, and it's a really good bang for the buck device. So I think excellent job out of the chute with this, because it's a really good DAC amp that I think a lot of people will quite enjoy, and it'll be an upgrade from what they're used to hearing when they plug in their IEMs or headphones. All right, so is it a buy? If you are looking for a very quality DAC amp for you to stream and listen to your music, if you're a big YouTube Bluetooth user and you like using Bluetooth, connecting it to your phone, or if you just want to plug it into your PC and play your music that way, and you want that very good R2R natural sound, I think this is a good player. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask, and I will see you in the next video.